Hello, Miss Jenna. We'll pretend like we didn't just talk for a whole entire hour.
Okay. Hello, Miss Sarah. How are you?
I'm good and glad that we figured this technical thing out. So here we are for round two.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be, as incredibly interesting this time around as that we were last time. So, okay, craziness aside, now that we are able to hear each other,
Mhm.
how are you doing?
I'm doing good. It like I had said, it like in round one, it's so wonderful to finally talk to you.
I
You
know.
We've known each other for like 15 years through like MySpace and Facebook. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we probably met each other like around 2006 on MySpace.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
when I'm thinking, 2005, 2006.
Mhm.
So both very young. Now we're not young. Well, I guess that's relative. Depends on who you're talking to, right?
Right.
On whether we're young or not. So, all right. Well, here we go. Let's talk again. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about stuff
All
and
right.
things. So, we talked before about your music and like how you got inspired to do it, how you lost your voice and found it again. And so I guess just kind of go back through that and
Okay. Um. All right. Well, when I was like in 2002, I like literally woke up one morning and could not speak, and it's not that I couldn't speak. It hurt if I tried to speak. So it hurt if I tried to sing. So it's so weird. Like something you like absolutely it is your freedom, your love, like singing. And I came to associate that after a while with like pain. So I just the thought of like just trying to sing again was terrifying.
yeah.
And I worked with a speech therapist for probably like 5 or 6 years.
Wow.
This woman, like, I'm not saying she opened the door like for me to. I mean, I had to walk through, but she understood the emotional piece and the feelings of the metaphorical feelings of like having no voice and how
Yeah.
that tied into this whole convoluted psychogenic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the way I
You
kind of
did have
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you did have some actual physical because didn't you have to have nodes removed or you had surgeries or
No,
something?
no, I had a Botox injection in my vocal cords, and that was a lot of fun. Let me tell you.
Does not sound fun.
That was in theory that because the doctor that I saw in Boston could visibly see that my muscles were like spazzing like crazy. So that was what was causing the pain when I would try to sing or speak. So the theory was, like the Botox would relax those muscles.
Okay.
It made me very breathy for a couple weeks. So I sounded, like had that breathy kind of. I couldn't like really. If I wanted to yell, I couldn't.
Yeah.
So that so it was a long like process of like and like I had told you before, I had really kind of discovered swans a few years prior to that to this like happening. And it was like we were talking about your bow, and she was like such a big inspiration in terms of like the
Yeah.
way she used her voice and like the fearless way she would just like. I think I read in an interview once. She said that she had been classically trained but had to unlearn it all
Yes.
to sing like more expressively. So I kind of am probably looking back at some of my early demos, like I was probably just like, oh, I'm gonna try like this thing that Jerome did, to
Yeah.
like, just try to like use my voice in a way that wasn't maybe kind of, I don't know if orthodox is the word, but like at least the way a lot of vocal coaches would have you like
Right.
want to like sing, like I was saying before, like feeling when I did have voice lessons in high school that they just wanted to mold me into this vocal baby, you know, that they have like this kind of like, you know, very like kind of classical, and it's great to have that I have the classical training in terms of like breath control and
Right.
different, you know, things, visualizations to like kind of get your get in the right mode to sing well.
Yeah. I don't have any of that.
What's that?
I don't have any of that.
Well, I kind of like will still like experience like flare ups of like the losing the voice if I really feel vulnerable
Mm.
or unsafe, not necessarily physically, but if I'm feeling like intimidated or and I'll feel it clench. I'm like, oh shit. So I kind of had to like um get in this place where I could really visualize and remember what it felt like to use my voice properly.
Yeah.
So it kind of like
It's interesting.
yeah, so I can get into this mode and it's kind of like this place in my head where my voice will just completely, you know, it'll feel like like it used to feel when I used to do like theater and sing like all the time, and it was my thing. I mean, it was um, you know, I had a terrible stutter when I was a kid, and when I would just like sing through it, and like you know, if I couldn't singing was where I could always feel like I had an outlet, and then when I didn't have that outlet, it was kind of like I don't know. I felt very kind of like disconnected from a lot. Like I just kind of like
You lost your identity.
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I kind of like you know, and it's yeah. I mean, I had like the I mean, I always loved to draw and stuff, but as I had said, like you know, music and singing was my first love.
Yeah.
In the art and the painting kind of happened later.
Yeah.
So
Do
yeah,
you think you kind of started painting um, when you lost your voice, or like as maybe sort of a backup way of expressing yourself, maybe?
oh for sure, yeah. Like I well before I started painting, I would just like smear oil pastels and all over paper and just kind of
Yeah.
like as I was going through it, yeah, I started like exploring like doing visual stuff just to have like to have an outlet, yeah.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, and I like I said, I worked with an amazing speech therapist who like really got the emotional piece and the feeling that I think like a lot of younger women, like when this happened, I was in my early 20s, you know, when it first started happening. And I think just that feeling of like not having a voice, like metaphorically,
Yeah.
like what is our voice? What do we
Right.
like? How can we express, like, how do we express things and feel like we're being authentic, but also um, true to ourselves? But like, how do we like find our identity, especially when we're feeling in a place where, you know, I mean, when I was at the time, when I did lose my voice, I was in a horrible relationship. So I just like an abusive. He was very verbally abusive, and it's funny because I started tape recording him after I had heard that track "You See Through Me" on Michael Giroir's. So I'm like,
Yeah.
tape this motherfucker, and I'm gonna like show him what he sounds like. And like years later, I listened to it. I'm like, oh my god, like no wonder I felt like I had no voice. Like
Right.
listening to like him like just screaming at me. I'm like, oh my lord. So but I mean that's certainly not the entire piece, but I just feeling like just it was almost like a claustrophobic feeling
Yeah.
at that time. Like I didn't really know where to turn for like that outlet
Yeah.
in that kind of like yeah
Escapism.
yeah and I think you were saying it's like you have to like well you kind of get into a point where you kind of just leave in a sense where you just completely immersed in your performing and you're not really caring about or not really like it doesn't really matter like how you're standing or like what you're standing.
Right.
Like you just let the music take you where it needs to
Yeah.
go. And you just follow it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
that's always the goal.
yeah.
Sort of that. I guess it's sort of a Zen thing of like become nothing. You know, where you're not cognizant of the world around you, what's going on in the room, how you're moving, anything like that. It's all like it's a weird meditative thing where even your breath becomes this cyclical
Oh yeah.
pattern.
Yes.
It's almost like there are certain songs that Mike and I do now that my voice has to become a cyclical. I don't even know how to describe it, but in order to perform the parts that I have to perform, it has to become this cyclical breathing, almost like a circular breathing kind of thing, where the sound comes out and then it goes back in, and it's hard to sort of achieve that when there's so many distractions around you, from the dog to my kid and like traffic driving by and whatever else going on. But that's always the goal. And like we were talking about earlier about how, do you become this conduit where it either you're tapping into parts of yourself that have no other outlet and they sort of peek their head out when you get into this state, or is it other things using you as a vessel? Obviously I have no answer. Nobody really has an answer for it, but it's an interesting concept to think of, that maybe you can like sort of let your guard down enough to allow either parts of yourself that you normally keep kind of hidden away, or other things potentially to come through you. And like it's kind of is sort of in a way like what Jarboe does, where you can hear 5 different songs that she sings and she's got a different voice on each song.
Oh yeah.
And it's like almost like different characters or manifestations.
Yes.
And even like, I don't do it quite as dramatically, but like even if you go back sort of through like my musical history, my voice from The Burning Circle is definitely different from what I'm doing now and like on the solo releases, and I played around a little bit with like different vocal techniques and stuff on my solo stuff, more so than within Lycia, because Lycia is a very kind of structured thing, whereas my solo stuff is just like whatever, like it's kind of like taking a handful of stuff and throwing it at the wall and whatever sticks. So it's kind of a different thing. And like, so I kind of think that's what you're talking about, where trying to find a different voice and that sort of thing.
Or trying, like when I was like really like fighting to try to like use my voice and try to get my voice back, it was kind of like I wanted to approach it from like a different angle, I guess.
Yeah.
Like how do I like take these different roads to come back to my true authentic voice?
Yeah.
Whatever that means, but like what are the avenues for that? And I was just kind of really exploring that at that time.
Yeah.
I also found like, if you actually like think about how you're breathing and you like micromanage yourself and you think, how am I breathing in this song? You will fuck up because you're just so hyper focused on it.
Right.
So,
or hyperventilate.
Yeah. And like when I would get to like that, if I really started thinking about like how I was using my voice or like what's going on like physically, or like then things would start to like clench up and stuff again. But I think that what was I saying? In terms of it's to find. I'm sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought.
It happens, man. Yeah, I think that you're right, though. I think, I guess that's probably why I never, this sounds bad, but I never really pursue a ton of training on stuff, because I feel like for me, that would stifle that would become the focus instead of just doing.
Yes.
So, like, because I would be like, oh, I'm doing this wrong. I need to be doing it like this. I need to sing like this. I need to breathe like this. I need to hold my throat this way. I need to hold my diaphragm instead of just letting it come out.
We're just letting it like just come
yeah,
naturally, and yeah.
I'm sure I completely do everything wrong. I'm sure of it. I probably don't breathe correctly. I probably don't, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I could learn some valuable tips and whatever, but it's like, A, who has the time?
Yeah.
B, at this point, it's kind of like teaching an old dog a new trick. And like, maybe if I was 20-something years old and I had a live career that I needed to make sure that I didn't fry my vocal cords.
Yeah.
At this point, it's irrelevant.
I'm sorry, I interrupted.
No.
Yeah, my voice has changed physically. So it's like working with what I have now is different because I sing completely differently than I did when I was 20 years old.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't have that crystalline soprano kind of range that I used to have. I screamed and smoked that one away. I really enjoy singing in the deep contralto, kind of where I write most of my songs on the guitar, and I found like learning the guitar took the focus off of like trying to micromanage what my body was doing.
Right.
And it kind of like gave me that outlet. Like I'm focusing on the guitar, and more. So I'm not like I'm just letting things kind of like specifically with the voice, just kind of like it just gave me the freedom to just not think about it and have something else to kind of focus on. So when I play the guitar, I can definitely sing better, and I could pretty much like play and sing at the same time. Which I had a friend who's like, oh, I couldn't like sing on the guitar like for like 6 years, playing the guitar. I just but it definitely has changed my whole like approach to how I write songs and stuff too, having learned the guitar and stuff. So. Yeah.
I don't think I can't concentrate on more than one thing at a time.
Oh, I can't either.
Yeah, I mean, in my real life I can, but in music I can't play and sing at the same time, and I think it's because I'm not truly a musician. Like when I played keyboards live and stuff, I'm good at memorizing things. So if Mike showed me something, then I would memorize it. But if I had to be able to do that and feel and sing and because it's feeling. Music is feeling, obviously. I can't divide my attention.
Yeah, I can't play keyboards and sing at all.
Yeah.
Like if I have tracks with keyboards, I always just do separate tracks and then do the vocals after or whatever.
Yeah, it's not easy. I feel like that's a next level talent that I just don't have. I mean, we talked about this earlier too. Like, I don't think that what I do is actually special. It's just, this is just the voice that I have. And so I have a hard time taking credit for any of it because it's not like I planned to have this voice. It's just the voice that my genetics gave to me. And when I sing, this is the sound that comes out. So I can't really take credit for that any more than I can take credit for the fact that my eyeballs work, or you know what I mean, like my digestive tract functions. Sort of. You know what I mean? Like my voice is my voice. This is the voice I was born with. I can't take credit for that.
Right.
Those people who can like sing and play, like you have to teach yourself to play an instrument. You're not given that innate talent. Like you have to train yourself to do that. I don't have to train myself to sing.
Right.
So to be able to do both those things, I think is a super special talent that people have, because one is sort of innate and the other one is not, I guess. Though I'm sure people would argue with me with that because a lot of people are trained singers.
Yeah.
But I'm not. So that's not a thing.
I think like I said before, I would rather listen to somebody who's got like real connection to like the soul of the music, for lack of a better
Yeah.
word, and
Yeah.
somebody who is like perfectly like
I
has years of vocal training and perfectly
completely.
Yeah.
I think that's why I didn't really like choir, because it was like you're singing somebody else's music in a voice that's just kind of generic.
Yep. And then in choir, of course, you can't like stand out too much. You have to kind of
Right.
like
You have to be part of the key. Yeah. That's funny too. You said you were a soprano. I was a first soprano in high school, and I'm like, I don't think I could get to that range anymore.
Yeah.
Even the songs I did on the Burning Circle, I sang at a really high range. I don't know. I haven't tried to sing at that range in a long time. I wonder if I can even pull it off.
I tried to sing an aria the other day that I had sung in high school. Yeah, that wasn't so good.
Yeah, my voice is
very kind of like notes breaking and things, and no.
Yeah. I think I can do it short term, but like to get through an entire song at a high register would probably be really hard. And like you said, you physically lost your voice. I did too, because when we moved out here, all of a sudden I had all these allergies that I didn't have in Ohio. And so my head was literally impacted for over a year. Like I couldn't breathe through my nose for over a year, and and so of course you can't sing if you can't breathe. Like if you have
Yeah.
So I couldn't sing for a long time, and I could remember people asking me to do vocals and stuff, and I couldn't do it, and I thought, well, this is it, I'm done. Your voice is gone, what can you do? So yeah, that was a scary thing for me too, and it was a sad thing, because I can specifically remember a couple of people wanting to do some collaborations with me, and I couldn't do them because I physically had no voice.
Right. Oh, it's the worst when you want to sing and you can't.
He's showing us caterpillars.
Oh, oh, I saw that the picture on Instagram, I think, earlier. Oh,
you're silly. Yes, we have 2 different sets of caterpillars in our house right now. But yeah, it was a scary thing. So I can imagine that being, your most important voice, physically and, spiritually or whatever. That had to have been scary, thinking that might be gone.
Oh yeah. I mean, I wasn't sure. Like, I was so confused internally, just in terms of like, what the hell was going on? Because I wasn't believing the doctors at this point.
Right.
I actually had a doctor like examine my vocal cords with a dental mirror, and then tell me that she had reported me to like their local their staff psychiatrist, and she thought I was just crazy. But then when I went to the doctor in Boston, they could see the muscles where they used a more sophisticated equipment to examine my vocal cords. They were just kind of like, muscles surrounding them were just kind of all over the place. So
yeah, that's scary. The hamster. Hi. We have a hamster.
Aww.
All right, dude. Hi, Vay. Yeah, and so we talked a little bit before about sort of your creepy stuff, because I always like to talk about our creepy stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spooks and ghosts and spirits. And so far, I haven't seen any weird lights in this video so far. So
okay.
I'll let you know if I see anything weird. But so you were talking about your apartment and having some experiences there.
Yeah. I was like, I think about a year ago, and the apartment that I lived in, they were built in the 60s, and they have like that kind of decor still, and it's they're I was like sleeping, and I was probably teetering on that like hypnagogic state, so I was kind of like not sure exactly, but I literally sat up and said, what the fuck, because I felt covers being pulled off of me.
Yeah, that's scary.
About a year ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually have like a friend who is going to do a house blessing and just try to like not enough sage in the world for this shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy. I've never had anything like that, but I have definitely felt things, like the bed move and hands sort of touching you, but I've never had like blankets
ripping off,
torn off me. That's pretty scary.
That was,
Yeah. And you said that you just saw your door move too, or cover.
It's not that it just like the door moved, but it was the way it moved. It was like almost a very deliberate kind of. And the door had been ajar. I mean, there was no windows open or anything. And it was just, door was half open, and all of a sudden it just kind of moves in a very deliberate way. And I remember I was thinking, kind of, I was kind of meditating, like in a just on something like my best friend is a Wiccan priestess, and I was just kind of thinking, just having read about some of the different beliefs and stuff like that, I was just kind of oh my God, Tara, where was I going with this?
You were repeating some kind of mantra or something, or?
Oh, okay, yeah. I was like visualizing something that was, for lack of a better word, of this maybe like spiritual, like I felt like I was kind of like dissociating for a second. And that's when the door kind of moved, and I was like in this really kind of creepy way, and I was, and like I definitely feel like dark energy in a couple spots in my apartment. I mean, I haven't seen stuff like I can definitely feel like hot and cold, like shifts in temperature in certain parts.
Yeah.
And it's really strange.
And like vibes. Do you feel like vibes in certain spots?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like it's almost like a very dark, in my kitchen, it's almost like a very dark, and it feels like a very feminine, but a very dark feminine thing, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It's just the impression that I kind of feel like I mean, it's, I haven't really, like, it's just, I don't know. It's hard to kind of explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also know that, okay, here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I know that you're having issues with your neighbor.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So are they at all touching, like, is their apartment at all touching the part of your house that feels creepy?
No, they're like directly across the hall.
Okay.
But
okay.
It's a very, like, the apartments are, everyone's like on top of each other. It's very close living proximity.
So do they, is it a female or a male that lives across?
Oh yeah. She, like, every time I try to pick up my guitar, she's like banging on my door and screaming at me. I'm like, really? And it's not like I like got an amp in there and I get a acoustic up to 11. I'm playing my acoustic guitar.
Right. Yeah, people's TVs are louder than that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, she's lived there for a couple of months, and she's kind of like, my anxiety level's been kind of through the roof the past few weeks.
Well, yeah.
Dealing with all this stuff with it, and like having to deal with, like, well, I mean, I call like the housing and stuff that they just like, oh, ignore it. Okay. Oh, well. Oh yeah. Okay. So I kind of feel like I don't really know what I can do about it, but I'll be damned if I can't play my guitar.
Yeah, it's your house.
What's up?
Yeah, it's your house. You can do what you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was just kind of wondering. So you said she's only been there a couple months.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm assuming this kind of weird stuff was going on before she moved in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the incident where I like felt the covers was probably like a year ago. Covers.
Okay. Yeah. And you mentioned that you lived around a lot of elderly people.
Yeah, I live with primarily like an elderly population. Yeah.
So perhaps some of the people have passed on or whatever, and.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Roaming the halls.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thankfully, we don't really, outside of my weird dream stuff, have any creepy stuff that goes on in our house. But our house, like, we're the only people that have ever lived in it. We built, so nobody's ever lived. So, not that there can still be stuff, but our house is not. I don't get any creepiness here at all.
Wait, what do you mean by the weird dream stuff?
You know, like when I wake up and I see stuff in the room.
Oh yeah, that just happens sometimes. Like
that happened last night, as a matter of fact.
Oh, what
last
happened?
night Mike got his second vaccine yesterday, and so we decided we were going to let him have the bed to himself, just so he could, because he didn't really feel that good.
Oh,
and I didn't want to, you know what I mean? Like, give him the bed, he could stretch out and have his quiet to himself or whatever. So my Dirk and I slept out on the couch, and I had fallen asleep, and I heard these weird sort of noises that sounded like almost like a electronic hum type sound.
Okay.
And I opened my eyes and I saw a pink glowing light about this big.
Oh shit.
And I watched it, and it went away. And that happened actually several more times that night, where I would fall asleep, wake up, and I would see a glowing pink. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it's just your brain doing its thing, but
Or is it?
But I mean, there's been other ones where I've seen actual like people, or
Like you saw the Predator.
I've seen the Predator, like a guy that looks like Predator. I've seen spiders 2 or 3 times, and they're always like, you know, this big. They're not like little eatsy like real spider. It's like comically large spider. You know, stuff like that. But I've had that going back to when I was I want to say 20 years old, and it happens periodically through the years. But that's kind of my only weird. I mean, I've been through a lot of weird stuff, but I don't need to get into it every single time. Yeah, I've talked about that lots of times over. But so yeah, there's no weird vibes in our house, thankfully. But so I hope that it stays that way, because I don't like that kind of stuff like invading my personal space. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Like we went on a ghost hunt. Ow, Dirk, you're pulling my hair, bro.
Sorry.
We went on a ghost hunt a couple years ago. There's a town in Arizona called Jerome, and it was an old mining town, a silver mining town.
Oh, okay.
And then when the mines closed, everybody sort of left. So these buildings all sat vacant, and like kind of like hippie art people kind of moved in and squatted there and kind of took over the town. So now it's like this amazing, really cool town, and like it's an artist community. Like Maynard from Tool has his wineries shop there, and
okay,
yeah, he has his wineries up there, and he has like a couple cool shops in town and whatever. But we went up there, and they have 2 different companies in the town that do ghost tours, and it was super fun. Like we went at night, we had like the e-meters and everything, you know, and like we walked through the town, and they give you sort of a history of yeah, I'll get there. We had, you know, like they go from building to building and like tell you the stories of things in certain buildings and this and that and the other. And like like he was saying, one of somebody's spirit boxes did say something, but nobody could hear, like nobody understood what it said.
It sounded like
yeah, it just sounded like a voice came through, but it was unintelligible, and it never happened again. But I did find out one interesting fact. So they told us, because one of the main things in the town was that there was a brothel, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so the girls that were in the brothel were all paid a lot more money than the girls that kind of worked the camp down the hill. And I thought this was interesting, that the chubby girls made like 4 times the amount of money that the skinny girls made. And so the chubby girls were all in the brothel, and the skinny girls were kind of like the wandering street girls. And I finally a win for the chubsters. It was interesting. I'm like, okay, all right. I guess I would have been wealthy back then. I'm just kidding. Dirk, you're pulling my hair, brother.
Sorry. I'm just saying.
Interesting.
The town that I live in, it's a couple towns over from Salem, and it was part of Salem during the whole witch trial.
Yeah.
hysteria. And it's a really. I was having a conversation with my friend earlier. Have you seen the movie Blue Velvet, the David Lynch movie?
A long time ago, yeah.
Well, it's kind of like that idea where it's like it's a suburban town. It's very like pristine, white picket fences.
Yeah.
But then just this idea of like what lies beneath all that. Like it's like this sinister kind of like feeling in the land of the town that I live in, which is the town is Danvers. It's there used to be a pretty well-known psych ward or state hospital. Where I grew up was literally like a mile from there, and you could see it up on the hill.
Yeah.
So like
it's haunted.
Like the dark end of the street, so we never got like trick-or-treaters and that kind of thing. And I remember being in my mother's yard a couple of years ago and seeing the outline of a figure with like this top hat. Like I was looking at it. It was night. I was looking at it in the dark, and I saw almost like a purple, deep purple outline. I didn't see any detail, but it was like and I'm sorry for a flash, and it was
interesting.
But yeah, this town. I mean, the town I live in. It's a lot of history. I mean, like the Rebecca Nurse house. She was I'm sure you've heard. Yeah, she was hanged. Her house is like left untouched by time. It's a historical site, that they usually close off, but I've snuck in there and taken some photos and stuff. But the house is like untouched by time, and it's just so eerie that like walking on that land, it just like it shivers.
This is funny because when we toured, we went all over the country, and the Northeast definitely has a haunted vibe. And I hate to go off vibes, but I always go off vibes. That's just, I always do. And that part of the country definitely always felt haunted to me. Like Rhode Island, Connecticut, all those places had a very old and haunted feel to it.
It's something like emanating almost from the land. It's hard to kind of like, articulate, but yeah, for sure.
It definitely has its own vibe that was different from the rest of the country. Not in a bad way, just just a different way. It felt different. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So I can see how growing up there that might seep into your character. Just like the Midwest definitely has its vibe. And even in Ohio, and I grew up in Ohio, I lived in Northeast Ohio. Northeast Ohio had a very different feel to it than Central and Southern Ohio. I don't know. But it kind of, Northeast Ohio sort of has a haunted vibe to it too, to me. But it's almost more, this is going to sound so crazy, but like it's almost like a Native American, it's not haunted, but just like you can feel it you can feel it.
Oh yeah.
Being in the woods and stuff up there, like I don't know, it's just something that you can feel. I mean, to the point where I've actually written about it in songs.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting how there's subtle things like that we grow up around that you're maybe not even cognizant of it. Right. But it kind of seeps into you, and then that even people that come there from someplace else pick up on it, that maybe something that you're just used to being around. Like you don't even notice it anymore, But then when other people come in, they're like, oh, what is this vibe?
Yeah, no, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm interested in all that stuff, sort of like time and space. Like I'm sure you feel this too. Like certain places that you go, you feel weirdly connected to it, or like for me, if I'm outside at night and I look up at the moon, there's like this weird sort of out of time and place feeling. Like it could be 2,000 years ago, it could be current, it could be 3,000 years into the future. There's like this weird timelessness about looking at the sky. And the sort of same thing happens with like the ocean or like here out in the desert, because the desert is vastly untouched.
Yeah. So
it's pretty much, you could pick up a rock that's been sitting there for 1,000 years or whatever. You know what I mean? Like and in fact, sometimes you're out in the desert and you'll see seashells.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, where did they've been there since when? You know what I mean? It's just kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like the ocean is like, yeah, like I don't know if I could live too far from the ocean. I'm one of those like crazy people who will like go swimming in April in Massachusetts off the coast, you know, because I just like the rush, and I'm kind of impervious to cold anyway.
Yeah.
I believe it or not, I'm an expert downhill skier, or was when I was young. So I spent a lot of time in northern Maine, you know, as a kid, like skiing.
Yeah.
I associated really cold weather with like freedom of like flying down a mountain.
Yeah.
Because at that time, that was like just the only time I could really feel like, you know, I'm just flying down a mountain. I'm in my own head, my own, you know, that is like, this is mine. And I was free, like doing that at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the ocean's like that same kind of thing. It's kind of like that uncanny, can't really describe it, but it's you kind of connect with it in some weird way, and it's a timeless kind of connection.
Yeah, and it makes you sort of wonder, it's like, are you connecting to this sort of universal spirit of it, you know, or like, you know, maybe somebody who stood in that same place 1,000 years ago and looked at the exact same thing, you know? I don't know, I think that's kind of stuff is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And so another thing that is a sort of an area of interest of mine is the whole dream world, I guess. Do you have a lot of very detailed dreams, or are your dreams sort of, like, do you remember your dreams, or?
Yeah. Most of the time I do, and they are hyper vivid. I feel pain in my dreams. Like if I'm being injured, I feel fear.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, I used to have a lot of falling dreams as a kid, and I would literally feel like the flips in my belly, like I was actually falling.
Yeah.
And I can kind of like, I can get into this state, like, because I started meditating. I need, like, a while ago, I took some meditation classes, but mostly I just kind of like did it on my own. And if I can get into that hypnagogic state where you're kind of just on the edge of sleep.
Yeah.
I can kind of like, I get these visuals, like my eyes will be closed, but I will like see faces, shapes, and you know, sometimes as clear as I can see you right now, like some of the faces.
Yeah.
Like, and it's whether that is like spirit guides or like, you know, past lives, I honestly don't know. Or maybe it's just my brain, what my brain does when I'm getting ready to sleep and dream.
Right.
So, I mean, but it's really peculiar because I can kind of get into that state and remain semi-conscious and like have a conversation with you, but I can still be seeing this stuff.
That's interesting because I'm kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Like when I daydream, because I daydream a lot.
Yeah, me too.
That's kind of how I come up with a lot of my writing or whatever, is that I daydream it. Yep. And it's so vivid that I can actually see the places and like I'm there.
Yep.
And that's interesting. Yeah. And so also back in the day when I was like into the occult or whatever, and I had a lot of weird stuff going on, there were times that if I would be sitting, like let's say I was watching TV in the dark. If I looked away from the television and I focused and concentrated, I could kind of do that, and where I would see faces.
Okay.
And this is going to sound absolutely nutty, but it would almost be like there would be a triangle, and faces would be going like this through the triangle, and like different ones would come forward and kind of go like looking through this triangle, almost like it was a window or a doorway.
Okay.
And the longer I stared at it, the clearer it would get. And I would be like too afraid to look away from it, but I would get freaked out, so I would force myself to look away from it and like to the TV, and then I would look back like, is it still there? Is it still there? And again, is it your brain? Because if you focus on something long enough in the dark, I feel like you can sort of make yourself see things, right?
Oh,
but it was so like obvious. I don't know. But it wasn't like it was like in vivid color or anything. It would be like kind of light. It would just look sort of like light. Almost like a black and white kind of image. Like electricity almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very weird. I don't think I've ever told anyone that before. Because I never really thought, like, I just kind of pushed it aside as like just whatever, you know, my brain doing weird stuff or me being crazy or whatever, you know, which I'm not crazy, but I don't think anybody's crazy, but it I don't know. I don't think I ever told anyone that before because it was just such a strange thing that I kind of like forced myself not to think about too hard.
Right.
Because I didn't know what it was, you know, kind of. But yeah, I kind of am like you where if I'm in that sort of in-between state between almost awake, I can even sort of move, like know what's going on in the dream and like be in control of it as opposed to just kind of being along the ride.
Kind of like lucid dreaming, kind of like direct your dreams, like I can kind of do that. Like if I'm having a really bad nightmare, I can pull myself out of it now.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, but like Technicolor dreams, and I do usually remember them.
Yeah, me too.
It's rare that I have a night that I don't remember actually.
Yeah, same. At least some snippet.
Yes, even if it's just like an impression.
Right. Yeah, like a vibe.
You ever have like one of those dreams that like the vibe just stays with you, the feeling stays with you like all day?
Sometimes longer than a day. Yeah.
If it's a really like dark dream or disturbing dream, it could just like like alter your whole mood and your whole perception for like a while. Yeah.
But on the flip side of that, sometimes it'll be a really good dream too. You'll just be like, oh, I want to go back there so bad. That dream was so happy and whatever.
Why'd I have to wake up? You know?
Or like you'll have a dream, a vibe of somebody. Like you don't remember what the dream was, but you know that a certain person was in that dream.
Oh yeah.
Like yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I love dreams. I love.
What's that?
I love dreams. Like I love.
Oh, me too.
Just like what are they? You know, I think some dreams are just your brain making stuff up, but then other dreams have like a different feel to them, and it makes you wonder, like, you know, are we traveling to other dimensions? Are we viewing other dimensions? Are, you know, we don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Some people are some people are like, that's ridiculous. It's just your dream or it's just your brain, whatever. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think maybe like, I heard someone say once that like, if you're, if you don't dream on a specific night or don't remember a dream, it's because you've traveled to someone else's dream.
That's interesting.
I think it was in a Laurie Anderson word piece years ago from the 80s or something. But anyway, it just makes you kind of like think about it. It's like dreams. And daydreaming. Yeah, I had a therapist tell me once not to daydream because I could like get like out of touch with reality. I'm like, fuck you, I'm an artist. I have to daydream. It's like how I get like.
That's how I create.
Yeah, I know. This was a while ago, but still, I mean. I fired her. I'm like, no, tell me not to.
Yeah. Plus, too, I'm sure you probably do this too. Like, if I'm falling asleep at night, I'll daydream to put myself to sleep.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I live to escape through dreams. I just love it.
Yeah, oh, no. I can't sleep if I just like lay there. I have to kind of like engage my mind in some sort of a scenario, dream, what have you,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I have like full like stories written in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you like hear music and like this has happened to me where I've heard music in my dreams and I think it's someone else and I realize it's me. It's my song. And so like I have to keep like I used to keep a handheld tape recorder like Dale Cooper in Twin Peaks, the little
Yeah.
and it just like if I would wake up, just like force myself to just like dictate something, or if it's a melody, just hum it, just so I don't forget it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I've had certain things like that. Definitely. I know that Mike does, like if Mike is working on something and he can't figure it out, he's the kind of person that won't give up on something, so he'll like work on something till he figures it out. But like there's been times where he's been recording or he's trying to do some technical thing with the program or something like that, and he can't figure it out, and so he'll stop for the day or whatever, and like the middle of the night he'll wake up having dreamt how to fix that problem.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. And sure enough, he'll wake up the next day, he goes and he does it, and it's happened more than once. Like it's happened multiple times. So it's really that's fascinating to me because he's solved like a lot of technical problems in his dreams. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, that is interesting, and like, and also that like people share a lot of weird, like some of the strange symbolism, like that people share. Like I have this I've had this dream for years about my teeth either being knocked out, crumbling out.
Yeah. Yes.
Falling dreams. All just and I've spoken to a lot of people who have the dream with the teeth.
I have it too.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yes. Yeah. Where they're always like they're crumbling. My teeth will just start cracking apart and falling out of my mouth.
Yeah, they usually are not getting like violently knocked out, but like it's always losing my teeth, crumbling out or falling out, or yeah.
And then of course the classic that everybody has of being in school naked, or like trying to find a bathroom and you can't find a bathroom.
Yeah.
And do you have this dream where you're in school or at work and then all of a sudden you realize like you haven't been to class for like 6 months? And all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, I forgot I was supposed to be in this class for like 6 months, and then you've got a test and you're panic stricken. And like we used to, Mike and I used to both have dreams where we have to play a show and we haven't practiced at all. Like all of a sudden you're just like, oh, you got to play a show. We haven't practiced in like forever. And you don't know your songs. You don't know any of your lyrics. You forgot how to play them all. And like you have to get on stage like right now. We both have those dreams.
I have dreams, and I've been having them a lot lately, that I have to go back to high school and repeat my senior year for whatever reason, that like I didn't graduate or whatever, or I didn't get enough credits or whatever reason. But yeah, like going back and going to high school again for like, and it's like
it's a panic feeling.
As if it wasn't like difficult enough the first time around,
Right. Yeah, I have dreams about work like that too, where I'll realize that I haven't done any of my work and I start panicking because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get in trouble. Like I'm going to get fired. I haven't been doing my job this whole time and blah, blah, blah. It's just, I mean, it's clearly stress dreams, obviously. But yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting with the symbolism in dreams that we all kind of universally have the same like themes, like with the teeth and falling and having to be back in high school. I mean, and it's established enough that you can say, okay, I had a dream last night about a white horse. And you can Google search dream about a white horse. Information will come up about, what people think symbolism means or whatever.
And of course, you got, the books of dreams and all that. Yeah. So,
it's interesting.
Oh, yeah. I was going to tell you something I totally forgot. The older I get, the less I can hold on to a thought for very long.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I know hormones are not kind to us ladies.
Oh no.
They always say like pregnant ladies get pregnant brain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because your hormones are crazy, you get real scatterbrained sometimes, and I feel like that stayed with me even after even after I had Dirk. Like I don't think I've fully gotten my brain back, and I have zero hope that it's going to happen at this point. But I used to be able to remember like everybody's name and like where what you were wearing, what happened that day. And now I'm like literally, someone will say, "Hi, my name's Jenna," and it'll literally go right out, like straight through my eye and back out the back of my head, and like you never even said it. It's the worst. I hate it. I hate it because I feel like I'm being so rude, but I can't help it.
Yeah, I find that I'm talking about lately. I'm talking about something and think I have some sort of point to make, and then it's gone.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, relatable. I think a lot of us go through that, and like they say, like with women, the older that we get, when the hormones start doing their thing, yeah, you get scatterbrained and whatever. I don't know. It's not fun. Like I forget everything. Like I can read a book and enjoy the whole book, and then 6 months later, I can't, or maybe not even 6 months later, I can't tell you what the name of the author was, what the name of the book was. I can reread it again and only have vague memories that I've read it before. I can do the same thing with like movies and stuff. I can be fully invested in something, watch it and be in it, and then later I don't remember what happened. I can't tell you any of the character names, you know. It's like we watched Game of Thrones all those years, and I'm like, that one guy that, like, I never knew any of their names. It's like, the one guy that has blonde hair? Yeah, that guy? Yeah, him? Never know anybody's name.
The only thing I'm, like, super nerdy about, like, and remember everything, it's like, with music, like, I can tell you, like, if I like a band, I will get, like, at least back in the day, when people like bought CDs, it's so weird to like. I still have like 1,000 CDs in my living room.
Yeah.
Where was I going with it?
Remembering everything.
Out of your brain. I'm sorry.
Remembering everything.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I can remember like if I really am nerdy about something and really have a specific interest in like certain bands or like just speaking of music, I can tell you like what albums they came out, who like produced them, like this stuff just like stays in my brain, but it doesn't do like with other things.
Yeah, I never had that gift either. I used to be able, like when I was young and I was super like would get obsessed with bands, I could do that. But it's almost like once I started doing music professionally, I lost that ability, and I don't know if it's because I've always like focused on whatever project we're working on that I can't, like my brain is so, you can only focus on this right now kind of thing. I don't know. But I used to be able to do that with music. Like I could tell you, all the lyrics, the names of the songs, etc. I can't even do that with Lycia. Like I can't sit down and tell you the names of the songs on my albums. Even I don't have that thing in my head that does that, and I'm jealous of people who do because I hate that I can't recall information. Like it's like I can recall vibe and emotional attachment to things, but not the like technical aspects of it or something.
Sure. Yeah.
So dumb. It actually does. It makes me feel stupid because I'm like, it's like I don't know anything, but yet I do. It's weird.
I always like struggle with like, just like, yeah, like I will think that like, feel like just like stupid about shit. It's like, I know I'm not, but it's like,
right.
It's like questioning your own like abilities sometimes, even though like the evidence to the evidence is like one thing, but like your head and your heart is a long distance,
Right. I know, and I always feel bad because it's not that I don't care. Like I do care, So it's really aggravating to me that I can't recall information because I do care about it. It's not that I don't want to recall the information, like, who cares? I just physically can't recall the information. And it's such a weird thing, and I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know if it's just my brain is like, you've got too much going on, so I'm not going to retain this right here that you don't really need. I don't know what it is, but it's super aggravating. And it's exceptionally weird because, like I said earlier, I'm training people at work right now, and I was scared to death about forgetting all their names. Thankfully, I have been able to remember all their names, but I'm training them information. And, you know when you, like, I've done my job for 14 years now, and I know it so well that I don't think about it when I do it. It's like muscle memory. Yeah. So then stop and have to train it to somebody when I don't think about it anymore, it's really hard. Because I'm like, it's like all these computer commands, like, okay, on this screen, F12, on this screen, Shift F9, blah, 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 blah. And because it's just muscle memory for me, I don't think about it anymore. But now I'm having to train people on it, and I'm like,
actually, it's like you get it, but it's like having to actually describe it to someone else.
Yeah, so thank God we have a very detailed manual, because some of the stuff, like, I know how to do it, but I can't explain it to you how to do it. It's so weird. But
it's like,
that whole thing. I don't know. I get really aggravated with myself because I have so many, like, Mike is like an encyclopedia of information. He can tell you every song he's ever recorded, what date, what machine he used, everything about it. And I'm like, I couldn't, if somebody said, I will give you $10 million to do the track list on the last Lycia record, I'd be like, well, fuck it, I don't get $10 million because it makes me feel really bad because it makes it seem like I'm dismissive of it, but I'm not. I just
from what you're saying, it's just like you understand things on in a very intuitive level, but it's just when you have to get to the actual break it down technical stuff. Sometimes
it's hard.
Yeah.
I hate it though. I want to be one of those people that can retain all that information and the feel and vibe of it. Not just the feel and vibe of it, but whatever. We are what we are, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Our lives are strange.
Definitely. This whole past year has just been so difficult.
Yeah, I know. It's been, really the past 4 years have been very dark, I think. Not to go political or anything like that, but just the overall vibe of this country and how it's really put lines down the middle of this side and that side. And I've lost so many people that I genuinely loved because at some point it becomes this moral issue of if I'm friends with somebody or even family and I know that they actively hate people that are like me, how are you not supposed to get wounded by that?
Yeah.
And then to see them, on Facebook, posting all this hateful stuff against people who were just like you, at some point I'm like, I can't be with you anymore because it hurts me too much to know that you hate people like me. And then, it's happened even with my family, and there's just all this illogical nonsense of everything's political and it doesn't need to be, and it's just such a weird thing. And then you throw in a pandemic on top of all of it.
Yeah.
Trapped in our houses even more so than normal, and there's so much negativity, and even that's become a political issue. I don't understand why trying to stay healthy is a political thing. It's so bizarre.
And I know, yeah.
Yeah, it's just all so weird. And then, trying to find your escapism through that, through art and whatever creative outlet everybody has on their own. It's just it's really hard, you know.
Oh yeah, like in especially like well, I mean, like for like musician friends who like play out all the time. I mean, I miss going to see shows. It's just been so weird. Like I was supposed to see Swans last year. And, I just I don't know. It's just I feel like we've been like collectively uprooted.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's just been a strange thing. I mean, so many people have lost their, livelihoods. Like you said, like all the bands that tour, like most people have to tour in order to support their music.
Yeah.
People that's why I respect like Soft Kill, the band Soft Kill, because they've kept it going through like their merch and everything, and then they've opened like their own store in Portland and everything. So like that's how they're keeping things going, by just constantly releasing stuff. Because they used to tour nonstop. And so I can only imagine the panic for a lot of the bands that, I mean, because I know that's what the routine up for us were. We would record and then tour, stop, record, tour, stop, record. And so to not have that huge chunk of your income, that's rough, But in a lot of ways, I think things have evolved in a really cool way too, because all of the online concerts and like stuff like this, where people have kind of like, this is how we hang out now, and I think with the bad has come a lot of really good stuff too. So
oh totally, yeah. I mean, like I think a lot of my friends have expressed that too. It's like, to me too, it's like, as crazy as this year has been, I think it's kind of like certainly in my own experience, it's kind of made me like reflect on a lot of my relationships, a lot of my past relationships, and the hardest thing I think I had to learn this past year is that you can let someone go, and sometimes the love doesn't go, but you have to kind of like love certain people
exactly.
just absolutely not good for your well-being or whatever reason. Or you just move on, but like to mourn people that that you have to let go.
Yeah.
That process of still.
And there's been people that I've deleted off of Facebook, but I remain friends with them on Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
Because Facebook seems to be a lot more argumentative than Instagram is, and so there's certain people that I don't want to know their politics. But I like them as people. Like I like that they're my friend, and I love them, and I enjoy knowing what's going on in their life and seeing their pictures and that side of them. But I don't want to know that other side, because they don't want to know that side of me either. It goes both ways.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's an interesting thing too, because there's a few people that I deleted off of Facebook that I'm still friends with on Instagram, because it's a different, I think Instagram is a different vibe than Facebook.
Oh, definitely. And Facebook is just so like, people just being super conversational. I mean, more than usual.
About everything.
Oh, about everything. Yeah. I can't even like, I've toyed with the idea of like deactivating it, but then I get nervous. I'm like, what if I'm missing something? And you're not probably missing anything. Like, it's super like, it's kind of like, it's like, it's hard for me to remember a time when we weren't all so interconnected like this,
I know. Well, and that's just it. Like, I feel, because I do the same thing. Like, well, if I didn't have to have Facebook for the band or whatever, I would just delete it. But then there's so many relationships I know would be gone because I'm not going to just sit and email people all day long. It's just never going to happen. I don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. So Facebook is kind of like a quick and easy way to just like see sort of what's going on in everybody's lives. Even if it's just to like a comment, it's, you're connected still. And so I would hate to like lose that with the people that I actually like, which is a lot of people. I genuinely do like people, But I get aggravated because people also are just so, I don't even know how to put it. You know, it's just contrary, I guess. Like, just contrary to everything.
I think a lot of people just like, I think it's the argument is more than the point they're trying to make. It's just just to argue.
Yes, and I can't stand
get
that.
something out of their system, but it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't stand that. And just okay, so I follow this local weatherman on Facebook, and all he does is post memes. That's all he posts.
Mm.
And there for a while, like, no matter what meme he posted, in the comment section, it turned into a political thing.
Yeah.
It didn't matter what the meme was. It was always turned into this political thing, and I just was like, how can this guy stand this? Like, he's goofy meme about a squirrel, and it's like somehow it becomes about Trump. I don't, you know, and I'm just like, how can he stand this? You know, but it's with everything. Like, I mean, I joke about this with my one friend all the time. One day she posted something about like how she drank a Diet Coke and it tasted so good, and like all the comments were like, you know, that's poison and blah blah blah. It's just let her enjoy her Diet Coke. Like, everything is drama.
Or like people who like have to call you out on something that, like, if you enjoy it and they don't enjoy it, they have to fucking say so. It's like, just like this thing, scroll by, dude. You know,
that's kind of like a lot of times, like, you'll see when I make posts about superhero stuff, because you know I'm a superhero nerd.
Oh yeah.
And I'll post more like a thing. I'm not looking for opinions.
Yes.
I'm just saying I like this. You don't have to tell me why it's dumb. I don't want to hear why you think it's dumb. I like it. Leave me alone. Mm-hmm. But there's been so many times, and I'm sure you do it. Everybody says they do this. Like, sometimes I won't even post about stuff I like or an opinion on anything, because it's just not worth having to like defend why you like that thing or why you don't like that thing. And personally, like, you very rarely will ever see me post like stuff that I don't like, because I'm like, I don't like it when I see stuff like that about things I like. So I don't want to make somebody else feel bad like that, you know? Mm-hmm. So I try not to do it. Like, every once in a while I'll say some smart ass thing, but generally I try not to talk about stuff I don't like, just because it's not my, if I don't like it, then why am I wasting my time even saying something about it?
Right, yeah, giving it your energy, yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of a different thing with like news headlines and stuff like that. Like, I'll discuss things that I have a problem with there. But even there, I try not to do too much because it's irritating. Anyway, but I don't know. I think the internet has made people really awful, but also not awful in other ways. So there's good and bad, I guess, with everything, you know?
Sure, yeah.
People are a lot, like, tougher on the internet than they are in real life, though.
Well, yeah, because they're not going to get punched on this side of the keyboard, you know?
Yeah. And that's always funny to me, because I feel like I'm the same way on the internet that I am in real life. I don't really change a whole lot, so I phony people irritate the crap out of me. Like, don't talk tough online, and then you're like, in your real life, you're probably this like weak person that has no power. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how they feel powerful. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like around the edges, steal it from around the edges or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Like like I picture some of these people in their real life just being these like meek, mild, frustrated people that have no control over their lives, so that they go on the internet and like be mean to people. That's their outlet or something.
Right. It's so weird. Like, some people have like very unique Facebook personalities.
Yeah.
You talk to them like they're, you know, or people you know personally, and you see like this one personality online, and then they seem completely different. If you like, you know, see them personally or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I think that's gross.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and then there's also the people that everything's a pose. Like, you'll never see a picture. You'll never see a picture of them where they're not like beautiful, and cool and like pose. Like everything is like this facade, and like there. And I can think of a couple girls specifically where I'm like, do they ever just wear a t-shirt and jeans? Are they always dressed from head to toe, 24/7? Do they ever just like that's so phony to me. You know, I don't know. Like, I feel like people should show who they are for real and not just like 1% of their personality. You know, it's just. I'm literally the same person right now that I am in my day life. There's no difference.
Oh no, you've always been kind of the real deal. I always thought you know, like.
Good or bad.
Oh no, I mean, but like you don't take any shit either from people online. That's I got to get better at that. Like if someone gives you shit, you like don't take it. I've gotten better with not putting up with shit from people online. But yeah.
No, I think that I don't, but I also do, because there's a lot of stuff that I've put up with that I probably don't need to put up with. But I think I've always just been an asshole enough to like have a line, you know? I don't know. It's hard to explain, because in some ways I get walked on, and then other ways I don't put up with it. So it's hard to, I think it's like and I don't know how much stock I really put into like astrology and stuff like that. But like they always say, like with Aries people, you know, they seem really angry and this and that and the other, but they're really a softie on the inside. So it's like I get no joy out of telling somebody to go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I don't
usually feel good inside. As much as I have to do it sometimes, like I don't have to, but you know what I mean. Sometimes I have to cut people off, but like it doesn't make me feel good, and I still on the inside blame myself for it. I always blame myself, like I must have done something, or you know, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have done that, but whatever.
Oh no, I'm the same way, and I've know people that like tell people to fuck off. It's so liberating, and it's like it feels so good. I never feel good. Never feels good to me, and then I always kind of question and go over things in my head and analyze, and yeah.
And I will do that. I'll like write to like multiple people or whatever, and I'll say, am I being crazy here, or like am I overreacting? And everyone's always, no, this person's ridiculous, like
Yeah.
But I always am like, it has to be like, I can't possibly be seeing this correctly. You know, like there has to be something I'm doing wrong to encourage this or something. But
oh yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah,
I understand that.
And I feel like I've weeded most of those kinds of people out at this point. Every once in a while, someone will surprise you that you thought was cool and just be like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've pretty much weeded most people out at this point. But I don't know. It all makes me sad regardless, because I want to get along with everybody, you know? I like everybody, and it's one of those things where I fully believe everybody should be who they are, even if I don't like who they are. But then you have to get to the point, like I used to just allow those people to stay in my life, even though they constantly were, aggravating to me or whatever. But I finally have gotten better about saying, we need to part ways, Yeah. Life is short to be constantly aggravated by something.
Oh yeah, I mean this past year I had to I stopped talking to it probably 3 or 4 people that were like in my regular kind of circle, it's sometimes you just, and I don't think it's selfish. I think it's just looking out for your own standards.
It's a self-preservation thing.
Self-preservation, yeah,
for sure. And like Mike always tells me about this petty tyrant. I think it's Castaneda. He wrote a book, and they talk about petty tyrants. And they're those people that are in your life that aggravate you all the time, and how the way to get over them is to not let them aggravate you. But I'm always just like, the way I get over them is to cut them the fuck out of my life. Because, it's
like, how do you not let somebody bother you? Your feelings are kind of
right.
happen,
Right. Well, it's kind of like, how like with an oyster or whatever, the sand irritates it. And so it creates a pearl out of the irritation. I don't feel like there's any pearl that I can create out of being irritated all the time.
Oh, no, I don't think so either.
Yeah, it just turns me into like an angry person, and I don't want to be an angry person.
Oh no, it's just like it's just a total energy suck, and it just takes away.
Yeah.
Or you could be spending, I guess, maybe that time on things you want to do or things that fulfill you.
Or with people who are positive.
What's that?
Or with people who are positive.
Yeah.
And it's not like I only want people who agree with everything I say. That's not even close to it. But there's this difference between how you express an opinion where we might not agree with each other, but we respect each other and we're just talking about how we feel, and then the person that's antagonistic about it.
Yes.
Like, that's what I don't like. I have plenty of friends. I mean, Mike and I don't agree on everything. Like, you don't agree on everything all the time with people, right. But there's a way of talking about it that's not insulting.
Yes. Being disrespectful about it, yeah.
And I feel like I don't get that. Like, the whole super thing. Mm. You say that's not my thing. That's not insulting. What's insulting is going, well, I think that's stupid and blah, blah, blah. That's insulting. You can thing. Good. Cool. Just like with music, like people will say like, well, what kind of music do you like? And, I don't even talk about that a whole lot because I don't even know how to explain what I like and I don't like. But generally speaking, when someone tries to share music with me, 98% of the time it's not something I'm into.
Right.
So it just, it puts me in a weird position of like, I don't want to make this person feel bad because obviously they like that and they think I'm going to like it. Mm. It's such an awkward thing. So I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's not my thing, but cool. I see why you like it. It's just not my thing.
No, I hear you. Like, and and it's like, I mean, like, how would you even like, I don't even know how to describe, like, people ask me what kind of music I like to listen to or like what.
No idea.
I don't know how to describe it.
I know. Well, yeah, it's like, okay, post-punk, but not all of it. Yeah. I like some goth music, but definitely not all of it. I like some metal music, but hardly any of it.
Oh, yeah, I don't hear you.
It's just, I don't know how to describe it. I just don't.
It's like a band called like Swans, they're like their own entity. So how would you describe like, oh, well, what kind of music is like this band or that band? It's like, you kind of just have to listen.
Right. The same thing always happened with Lycia. Like, we're not a goth band, but what are we?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just what it is. Mood. We call it, it's moody. That's what it is. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Yeah, I don't know, man. People. Oh, well, I'm happy that we finally got to talk to each other.
Oh, definitely.
It's a happy accident that my other guest had to cancel because he's in Texas, and so his electricity has been.
Shit. Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna reschedule him.
Like weather.
Yeah. And so he's like, I'm so sorry, can we reschedule? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then I had gotten your email and I hadn't gotten around to scheduling you yet. So I was like, oh, that'll work. We'll just pop Jenna in there. So that's cool. And you want to know something funny? I always picture you being in Canada.
Oh, really?
For as far back as forever since I've known you, I always think that you're in Canada. even though I know you're not. But for whatever reason, my brain associates you with Canada, and it's kind of like my friend Candy.
Yeah.
I always think she's in Portland, and she's clear over in the other side of the country.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I don't know what it is. I always think you're Canadian.
Oh, that's I mean, I
You're
went.
close.
What's that?
You're close, kind of.
Oh, but my clothes, you said?
You're sort of close to Canada.
Oh, clothes. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, I've been to Canada. I mean, one thing the only thing of like New England accents. Oh my God! So I kind of worked hard to kind of like lose the really strong Bostonian accent because I just don't like it. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But, oh yeah, but you associated. Oh, before you heard me talk. So yeah, that's.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I always just picture that you're Canadian. Isn't that weird? Maybe do you have Canadian friends? Maybe that we have mutual Canadian friends, maybe?
I don't know. I have a good friend who lives in Canada, but I don't think she's your mutual friend. I don't think we have a mutual friend.
Weird. That's weird. That's funny. I don't know. Interesting. Maybe you're supposed to be in Canada. I think maybe I'm supposed to be in Canada too.
I know.
I don't know if you watch that show. I guarantee you don't watch that show, The Good. But I'm obsessed with this show called The Good Witch, and it's
Good Witch. Okay.
Good Witch. It's a Hallmark show.
Oh, I have seen that actor who was in Train Spotting, right? The Scottish actor. Is that show? He's kind of like a.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of something else. Okay. Then I
it's a girl. It's the girl that was in. I think she was in NCIS or something. I don't know. She was in something, but she's a Scientologist. Not that has anything to do with anything, but no, I've been watching this show years ago on Netflix. So me and Dirk used to just pick shows to watch, and like, oh, it's called The Good Witch. It's probably a little spooky, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not spooky in any way, shape, or form. But and it's so corny, but for whatever reason, I just can't stop the show. It's like my weird escapist thing, and I think because it's so wholesome, that it's like I can watch it and just like feel good. You know, like there's nothing creepy about it. There's nothing I have no idea why I'm bringing. Oh, Canada. So the town that they're in is Middleton, and it's like this perfect town. There's no problems. Like what happens is like a snowstorm comes through town. You know what I mean? Like it's so. And I'm always like, oh, I want to film it in Hamilton, Ontario. So I'm always like, oh, I want to live there so bad. So yeah, I think I should be in Canada, even though I'm sure Hamilton is nothing like the Hamilton on this show, but whatever. It's my dream. Leave me alone.
I wanted to. I've never. I don't think I've ever been out of the Eastern Time Zone. To be honest with you, I haven't traveled much.
Oh wow!
But I like always wanted to go out and. If you hadn't noticed, I'm a little obsessed with Twin Peaks. So I'm like, it's like my favorite.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to just like go out to like where it was filmed, like out in Washington, and kind of like, yeah. I want to get up there too. We never. That's the one part of the country that we never made it to on tour was the Pacific Northwest. Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the place I probably belong.
Yeah,
like
I have a friend who's been there, and yeah, Portland is like artist city.
Yeah.
Very creative.
Yeah. And it's like it's not too hot, it's not too cold, it's really nice and green. I just feel like that's probably where we should live, but we don't live there, so it is what it is, right? But yeah, we have so many friends up there. Like I feel like it would be a great place to be. But we're in the desert.
Oh yes, and we had a snowstorm here today.
Yeah. I'm so jealous, kind of, like, and I know people always want what they don't have. So some people are like, it's 75 degrees here, and everybody's like, oh, I wish I was there. Yeah, but in a couple months, it's going to be over 100 degrees here, and it'll be over 100 degrees until December,
Oh,
And like how you guys are with the cold, where it just drags on and on and on and on. Like, I need a happy medium, But, like, I should move to Scotland, maybe. I don't know. England, someplace.
I always thought, like, I love, like, Irish music is like I have a whole repertoire of these traditional Irish songs that I've learned.
Yeah.
I'd love to, like, at least visit, like, Ireland, England, Scotland, like that whole Isles. I would love to go there.
Yeah. I feel like it would, at least in the way the climate and stuff is, would be perfect. Because it's never too hot and it's never too cold, I think it would be perfect. But I'm jealous of all you guys getting snow, because we don't get any weather here. It's like last summer we didn't even get like a monsoon. So we had like no rain, never any clouds in the sky. It's just hot, hot, hot and sunny, hot and sunny, hot and sunny.
Oh,
and even now it's colder, but it's still no clouds in the sky. So like the other day I posted pictures of clouds. I'm like, oh my God, there's clouds outside. Get them. It's just nothing but a pale blue sky all the time, which to a lot of people, but it gets old,
Oh yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. Just, like, homogenous kind of like weather.
Yeah, same every single day. Hot, sunny, never any change. Like when we do get any kind of or anything, people don't do it themselves. Like, oh my God, it's raining outside. How do I drive? It's crazy. It's true. All right, well, Jenna, my love, this has been fun now with you.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, you kind of broke up there. Oh yeah, no, thank you for speaking with me, and yeah, it's been cool talking to you.
I know, it's nice. I'm glad we got our technical thing figured out.
Absolutely.
I know, because the first one we talked about a lot of cool stuff, but I don't think anybody would have been able to hardly follow it. It was very garbled with the system, so this is much better.
All right, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording, but you don't have to hang up just yet, because I want to say some more stuff. So I will talk to you again soon, but don't hang up yet.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.